Picture this. A man lands at an international airport, carrying a perfectly valid passport. Everything seems normal until officials realize the country listed on his passport doesn't exist anywhere on Earth. He insists his homeland has been around for over 1,000 years. He shows them documents, money, travel records, all looking completely real. Confused, the authorities lock him in a guarded hotel room for the night. No balcony, no windows that open, no way to escape. But by morning, the room is empty. The man is gone. His passport, his mysterious money, everything vanished. So what happened to the traveler from a country that doesn't exist? This story takes us back to the 1950s, when airport officials in Japan came face to face with a traveler whose arrival would become one of the strangest and most enduring mysteries ever recorded. The man who stepped off the plane was calm, confident, and very well dressed. He spoke clearly and carried himself like a seasoned businessman, someone completely accustomed to international travel. He walked up to the customs desk and handed over his passport. At first glance, nothing seemed out of place. It had all the right stamps, all the official markings. But then, the officers read the country name. According to the passport, the man was a citizen of Taured, T-U-R-L-D. The officials were stumped. They'd never heard of it. They checked their maps, their lists of sovereign nations. Nothing. They assumed it must be a simple printing error, a typo. Maybe he meant Andorra, a small country nestled between France and Spain. When they suggested this, explaining that a country called Taured simply didn't exist, the man reacted not with guilt or deception, but with genuine, profound confusion. He looked at them as if they were the ones who were mistaken. He calmly insisted that Taured was a real nation. He even pointed to a map indicating a location in Europe, right where Andorra should be. He claimed his country had a rich history, stretching back for centuries, over 1,000 years in fact. To prove he was telling the truth, he presented a whole portfolio of additional documents. He had business papers from the company he was supposedly visiting in Japan. He had hotel reservations. He had bank records and official identification cards. Every single document, without exception, listed Taured as his homeland. He even opened his wallet and showed them his currency. The bills were professionally printed with intricate designs, but they were completely unfamiliar to the customs agents. The situation was escalating from a simple misunderstanding to a full-blown security puzzle. The authorities started making calls. They contacted government agencies, embassies, international databases. The result was always the same. There were no official records of Taured, no embassy, no historical mention, not a single trace. It was a ghost country. Faced with this impossible situation, the officials decided they had no choice but to detain the man overnight for further investigation. This wasn't a criminal, but he was an enigma. They couldn't just let walk away. They escorted him to a nearby hotel and placed him in a secure room on a high floor. This wasn't just any room. It was chosen specifically because it was escape-proof. The windows were sealed shut. There was no balcony. The only way in or out was through the single door, and that door was under constant surveillance, with 2 guards posted right outside. They never left their post. The man was effectively locked in a sealed box, high above the city streets. The guards stood watch all night. They heard nothing. No strange noises, no struggle, no attempts to open the door. The hallway was silent. But when morning came, and they unlocked the door to check on their mysterious guest, they were met with absolute silence. The room was empty. The man had vanished. But it wasn't just the man. His briefcase, his clothes, his passport, the strange Taured currency, all of his documents, everything was gone. It was as if he had simply evaporated into thin air. The authorities launched an immediate and thorough investigation. They searched the room inch by inch. There were no signs of forced entry. The sealed windows were still sealed. The door lock hadn't been tampered with. The guard swore that no one had entered or exited the room all night. The hotel staff saw nothing. Airport records were checked again. There was no record of any departure in his name. It was as if the man, his passport, and his entire country of Taured had never existed in the first place. So, what really happened? The mystery of the man from Taured has sparked decades of debate and speculation. The most skeptical and straightforward explanation is that the man was a highly skilled con artist or imposter. Perhaps he was a spy or a smuggler with a fake identity, so elaborate, so detailed, that it baffled everyone he encountered. But this theory doesn't explain how he managed to disappear from a locked, guarded room without a trace. How do you just vanish? Another theory suggests a psychological explanation. Maybe the man was suffering from a profound delusion, a break from reality where he genuinely believed he was from this non-existent country. Could his confidence, his documents perhaps, they were all part of an incredibly detailed fantasy he had constructed for himself. This could explain his genuine confusion and insistence. But again, it doesn't solve the central puzzle, his impossible disappearance. People with delusions don't typically dematerialize, and that brings us to the most unsettling, most mind-bending theory of all, the one that continues to disturb and fascinate anyone who hears this story. What if the man wasn't lying? What if he wasn't crazy or a criminal? What if, for one brief, inexplicable moment, the fabric of our reality tore open? What if two parallel universes, two different versions of Earth, overlapped just long enough for a single traveler to cross over? In his world, Taured was a real country with a 1,000-year history, located right where he said it was. He was just a normal businessman on a normal trip, until he stepped through a doorway into our world, a world where his home didn't exist. According to this theory, his disappearance wasn't an escape. It was the universe correcting a mistake. The rift between worlds closed, and he was pulled back to his own reality, taking all evidence of his impossible existence with him. This idea, often called the interdimensional travel or parallel universe theory, transforms the story from a simple mystery into something far more profound. It suggests that our reality might not be the only one, that there could be countless other Earths, each with its own unique history, its own different maps, its own countries that sound like fantasy to us. If a man from Taured could accidentally slip into our world, it raises a chilling question. How many others might have crossed over without ever being noticed? What if small, unexplainable events in our daily lives, like a misplaced object that reappears somewhere impossible, or a memory of an event that no one else recalls, are actually tiny ripples from these other realities bumping against our own? The story of the man from Taured remains officially unsolved. There are no police reports, no declassified documents that can give us a definitive answer. It lives on as a modern legend, a piece of high strangeness that defies easy explanation. It forces us to question the very nature of the world we think we know. So, what do you believe? Was he a master deceiver, a man lost in his own mind, or a genuine traveler from a world just next door? The truth, like the man himself, seems to have vanished without a trace. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy diving into mysteries that challenge reality, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that will make you question everything. See you next time.